Hey there! Longtime viewers will be aware that long before I was a geopolitics nerd, I was a tremendous comic book nerd. In honor of the upcoming Avengers movie, today I'm taking a break from the Middle East to talk about why the Marvel comic book movies are so much better and so much more successful than the DC comic book movies. This may seem petty to some of you, but superhero movies shift billions of dollars. And I think the stories that work and the ones that don't say a lot about where we are as a world. For those of you who don't follow this sort of thing, most big-time superhero intellectual property is owned by one of two companies. You could make a great argument that the DC characters, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, are better known, or at least that they were better known 10 years ago. But it's the Marvel movies with Captain America, Spider-Man, the Black Panther, and the rest of the Avengers that do a lot better financially and critically. Of the top 20 comic book movies, 15 come from Marvel and only 5 come from DC. The Marvel movies have successfully built a shared universe with its own momentum. People are excited to see new movies because of the brand itself. The DC films are perpetually on life support. And with the exception of Wonder Woman, each film is more loathed than the one before. Now there's a lot that goes into this. Marvel has done a lot right, and DC has done a ton that's wrong, but I think there's a central difference in the types of stories that are told. Marvel's stories resonate more. Superheroes are about conflict. Most of the 18 films that fit into the MCU or Marvel Cinematic Universe just have better bad guys. Because Marvel bad guys are almost always closely tied to the hero. The DC bad guys are usually some sort of generic personification of evil. This is actually probably truer to the comic books, but it's really hard to do well on film. If you've got director Christopher Nolan and a once-in-a-lifetime performance from Heath Ledger, who adds even more thematic weight by dying before the movie comes out, then you can pull this off. Otherwise, not so much. All 3 of the Christopher Nolan Batman films were well received, but The Dark Knight is the only one I can imagine ever wanting to sit through again. This is the central problem with all the DC Universe movies. None of the bad guys have real personal connections to the heroes. Whether they're evil gods or corporate bad guys, they're just evil for evil's sake. It's boring. It makes for movies that feel like watching other people play video games. Not so with the Marvel movies. In Marvel, the bad guy is always much closer. It's a family member or an organization that the hero belongs to. In Black Panther, the villain is a cousin who was deeply wronged by Black Panther's father. The villain in the first Avengers movie is Thor's brother, and in the second, it's an AI computer program created by the good guys that gets out of control. The only recent exceptions to this I can think of are the second Thor movie and Doctor Strange, which are 2 of the least financially successful Marvel movies. That second Thor movie is also the lowest rated Marvel movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Films with a personal conflict obviously connect more deeply with audiences. All these movies about conflicts with mentors, fathers, and brothers strike a chord with everybody, but I think there's a resonance beyond that. All the Marvel movies are self-contained, but they can also be watched together to tell a broader story. Certain films, specifically the Captain America and Avengers films, do more to move the plot along than others. There are stories of betrayal, where the institutions and people that are supposed to keep us safe are actually doing everything they can to hurt us. Sometimes out of malice, but usually out of the best of intentions. It's a very open question in the movies, whether the Avengers are more helpful to the world or more of a threat to it. Does that sound at all familiar to you? The Marvel comic books, launched at the height of John F. Kennedy's New Frontier when American empire was new, constantly emphasized that great power brought great responsibility. I think that it's fitting that the Marvel movies, 50 years later, seem to be asking whether great power is more trouble than it's worth. The Marvel movies are actually playing with some pretty big questions here, and that's why they are better than the DC movies. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you want a free essay on a completely different topic, I suggest you sign up for my email newsletter.